hopefully this session will save you a little bit of time and headache as we go along. My session goals today, first, I'm going to review 5 quick Google Drive principles with you that are just kind of basically how Google Drive works, some things that will be useful in the later steps that we're going to look at that are kind of using them together. These are things that people often find confusing about Google Drive and that I also find confusing about Google Drive, but that I've kind of looked into the details of. I'm going to identify some common problems with file sharing that maybe you have experienced already, or maybe you haven't yet. This is something that probably will come up for anyone who's using Google Drive a lot. I'm going to help you identify how to choose a method of file sharing, different ways of file sharing, which is best for you, for your team, for your goals, for your, what your purpose is. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to set up view and edit sharing. That's with folders with preset settings. That might just sound a little jargony at the moment, but I'll show you how to do that in just a minute and why that's useful. And then kind of the bulk of the talk is going to be about the process that we used in 340, which is a 4-step process of moving through steps to get it so that you've got a bunch of shared documents that work pretty well for sharing with your team. So the quick review of Google Drive, I'm going to look at 5 basic principles. Here on the bottom of the screen, you can see links to some videos. If any of this really seems like it's kind of shooting past you too fast, you can come back and click the links and look at the videos. They're just YouTube videos. One is just kind of generally about cloud computing, what the principles behind it. It's just me chatting to the screen basically about how that works. Another is about using Google Chrome profiles to keep your different Gmails organized. That's quite key in some of what we're doing today. So if that's something that's new to you or unfamiliar to you, that's probably a good video to watch. There's a basic tutorial for Google Drive, and there's also top 12 Google Drive tips and tricks that's maybe a little bit more advanced and got some little things in there you could use yourselves. So as you go through, if you're like, oh, this is too much, you can come back and watch the videos, and those might help you out. So the first principle I'm going to talk about is what the difference is between My Drive and Shared with Me. So when you've got your Drive open, it looks basically the same if you've got My Drive open or if you've got Shared with Me open. This is what My Drive looks like when it's open right now. The Shared with Me is down lower on there. These are folders and files, of course, that someone shared with you. That's the name of it. But they work in kind of a particular way. These are not your files. You don't own them. You see them in your Drive, but that's just because someone has shared them with you as an editor or a viewer or a commenter, or you've opened them from an email that you've received from someone, or you've just clicked on something you found online. This is just something you've opened and that you have access to. These are not your files. You shouldn't organize them. You shouldn't mess around with them. If you've got edit privileges on them, you should make sure that this is something you should be editing. But if it's something that you plan to use a lot, you should add shortcut to your Drive. If you right-click on any file or folder, you'll see a little menu come up. That's where you can move things around and delete whatever. The little triangle with a plussy thing is add shortcut to Drive. That will take this file that's not yours and add it to your My Drive so you can organize it where you want it to go. So although it's not yours still at that point, it is inside your My Drive for you to, for example, if someone sends you a reading activity for your class, it's shared with you. If you add it to your My Drive, then you can put it in your My Drive in your fall 21 reading class, for example, in your folder that is for that. So it's still not yours, but you can organize it. Your My Drive, that's your main drive when you open up your Google Drive. This is all the stuff that is yours. These are folders and files that you own or that you've added from your Shared with Me. The little folder symbols, you can get some information from what those look like. There's a private, that's if there's nothing on it. Shared, if there's a little person. And it's a shortcut from your add shortcut to Drive, so it's not actually yours if you see that little arrow. These are 3 of mine in My Drive. My classroom is private to me. My courses, this is a folder that Nazneen shared with me, so that's not mine, but it's a shortcut that I've added. And my FPEL 0340 is a big shared folder that I share with my teachers. So those operate that way. So you need to keep those 2 things separate. This, for example, is quite useful when the MReader people shared that big folder with us. It's a folder full of all of the scanned MReaders for our entire program. So hundreds and hundreds of these book files. They came in my Shared with Me, and I added it to my Drive. So it's still not mine. It's got a little arrow that shows that it's not owned by me, but it lives in my Drive, so I can find it easily. I can get that link out to students and to teachers because I know just where it is stored in my Drive, although those are not my files. Second principle. So what are the different sharing options? when you click on a document to share it, so that little yellow share button at the top right, or if you're inside your My Drive and you right click and choose share, it pops up this little box with a top and a bottom half. The most specific way you can share something is with restricted settings by adding someone's email specifically to them. This is as good as having password protected sharing, basically. The only people who can open it are people that you add to that document, so it's not widely open. In the bottom part, you can share things a bit more widely with groups. So you can choose everyone at Sultan Qaboos University, or you can choose anyone with the link. And then when you're looking in your document at the top right side, the little share button changes its appearance depending on who it's shared with. So the one where it's restricted is just those two little people. If it's shared with everyone at SQU, it's the little building with a link under it. And if it's shared with anyone in the link, so it's out there on the internet for anyone to use, it's a person with a little link under it. You have to be careful with these. These are choosing who it's shared with, and you should probably usually choose the least permissive sharing settings that you can. If you don't need to share it with anyone on the internet, don't share it with anyone on the internet. If you want to share it with a specific group, put those group members on it. Then it's not just like floating around in the Google Drive universe. Locking things down as much as possible is a good way to keep things well organized and neat in your system. The other option here inside the sharing little window that pops up is on the right-hand side over here. You're not choosing who you're sharing it with, but you're choosing how it's shared. You can share as a viewer, editor, or commenter. Viewers can't really do anything to it. Commenters can make a comment, and editors have actually very broad privileges, can do a lot of things to it. So you need to be careful who you share editing privileges with, because they can do basically anything you can, except for delete the file, and I think that's it. This can create big messes if people get editing privileges and they don't understand them. There is a way to lock that down a little bit if you want to give someone edit privileges, but have them a little bit reduced. There's a little wheel here in this window, the top right of the share window. If you open that, it gives you a couple tick box options where you can limit down the amount of privileges that editors have. Number 3, the principle number 3 is logging in with different Gmail accounts at one time on different Chrome windows that are open. In my image here, you can see this is my desktop where I've got 2 different instances of Chrome open. Each one is signed in with a different Gmail account. The one with the yellow arrow at the top is signed in with my SQU account. The one on the bottom, the green arrow, is signed in with my 340 course account. They take with them all of your usernames, your passwords, your settings, all of your extensions. So when you're signed into Chrome with that Gmail account, it's very specifically within that little environment. At the top right, where that little arrow is pointing at your little avatar at the top, if you click that, it opens this little menu that lets you log in with different Gmail profiles. So you can have multiple windows of Chrome open at once. If you're on a PC, it looks a little bit different than mine is open with a Mac. That's what I use. At the bottom of your screen, where it has your Chrome symbol in your toolbar at the bottom, if you hover over that or click it, I think, your little Chrome thumbnail pops up. If you have it open more than once, if you have more than one Chrome window open, it'll show you 2 or 3 or however many of those that you have open, so you can see which one is logged in with which. I have mine set with different backgrounds, so I can clearly see which one is logged in. So I know that this nice beach scene is always my work email. And if this is something that's new or unfamiliar to you, this link down here that says more help with Google profiles will take you to a video that shows you in a lot more detail specifically how to do that and how that works. Principle number 4, what do you do if someone messes up your documents? If this hasn't happened to you yet, you are lucky indeed. But it's easy to fix in Google stuff. Inside of a Google Doc, Google Slides, Google Sheets, Google Drawings, I believe, the big 3, plus a couple others, but not Forms, you can just go into the Edit menu, choose Version History, and then click the one where it says See Version History. It will pop this open. This is your document. And over on the right side is a little timeline of all of the edits that have happened to that document. You can go back to the one before where the mess up happened, click on it, click the button at the top that says Restore this version, and it's basically an undo button. It's a do-over. You're just going back in time to that. All the edits that happened after that are gone. And this is really helpful for fixing something when somebody has deleted something by accident, for example. This is also a good way to save different versions of a document. So for example, if you are a CL with a pacing guide. You can have your pacing guide, and then you can make all the edits for the next semester, any changes that you want. Name that version. There's a name a current version over here. Put a name on it. Then over here, you'll see the named version that will be, for example, Fall 20 Pacing Guide. And then when you update it, you name the next one Spring 21 Pacing Guide, after that Fall 21 Pacing Guide. And then over here, you'll have a complete history of the document with all of the different versions there. So you can see, instead of having version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4 in some folder somewhere on your computer, you've instead in one document just got all of that history going back. Everybody doing okay?
Yeah, Jenny, where should I go if I want to find the history of a document?
What's that?
Where should I go if I want to see this history?
Yeah, so if you're in the document, at the top there's the little bar that's got like File, Edit, View, Insert. File will open up a menu, and it has version history about halfway down. Inside version history, there's two options: Name Current Version and See Version History. If you do See Version History, that'll open right up.
I had a question, Jen.
Sure.
You said someone with full editing privileges can't delete a document.
It depends on how I think there's a setting to turn that off, but I think maybe they can. I think they can delete it. There's something they can't do that an owner can do, but I can't. It's basically editors. My lesson with editor privileges is that the editors can basically do anything to a document. Don't give people editing privileges unless you're ready to kind of let go of that document.
Actually, in shared drive, they can't.
In shared drive, it's different. Yeah, in shared drive, it's different. Shared drive, all of the files are owned by the shared drive. They're owned by the institution and the drive itself, not by individuals. So that is one good thing about having a shared drive for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Tip number 5, here's my little Google Drive trick for making folders with preset sharing settings. The GIF that's on this page is pretty long. It's about 1 minute and 20 seconds long, something like that, but it's showing you the whole process of it. Basically, in Google Drive, when you make a folder, if you set that folder with sharing settings that you want in a particular way, then every document that you create inside that folder will take that parent folder's settings. So for example, if I want, like I'm showing in this GIF, to make a specific folder that is to share with my 340 teachers with edit privileges, I create a new folder. I add all of my 340 teachers, current list of teachers, add them with their email, turn all of them on to be editors in that folder, and then save that folder. Then if I want to share any documents with my team that are edit documents for my whole team of teachers, I can just open that folder up, and any document that I make there will automatically share with those correct settings. So if you think about it like the little schematic down below that's not going anywhere, there's like your My Drive folder. Inside this yellow My Drive folder, there's a View folder and an Edit folder. In the View folder, any document that you make there, whether it's a doc or a slides or sheets or whatever, will be view only. Inside the edit one, any document you make will be edit. And if that's open to the team of people who's added to it. So if it's anyone on the internet, that works for you if that's your folder. So I would set up a bunch of folders in my main drive that's like my teachers, edit only, view only. My students, edit only, view only. Open on the internet for anyone to view. And that would be stuff that I would send out as PD kind of on the internet with people that I share other places. I might set one up as SQU view only and have that be stuff that I would send around in the department. Then anytime I need to make a document with those settings, I can just pop into that folder, and anything I make, I know will already be set with those setting sharings because it's coming from that parent document. Again, if this seems a little unclear or weird, if you watch that GIF, it's about 1 minute and 20 seconds long or so, it walks you through and shows you what that looks like. Is everybody okay with that, or do you have any questions?
I have a quick question. Sorry, I know your focus isn't shared drives, but does that work with does it work in folders and shared drives?
It does work in shared drives. Yeah, in shared drives, you know, now they've set it up so that you can have different permission settings in different folders in shared drives. In the past, it was just everyone in the shared drive had everything. So now, if you in your shared drive, if you've got a specific folder that you've shared with certain people on the team, then anything created there will be shared with them. And if you've got another area of your shared drive with specific permissions, then anything you create there will go to them as well.
Okay. I know that in shared drives, you can assign different permissions to different people in the drive,
Yes.
but I wasn't sure if
you can do it now. This is a new thing, I think maybe this year, that you can have
Okay,
different
great.
folders with different permissions as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. I was going to say something and I don't remember what I was going to say. Okay, probably not important. I'll move on. Okay. So let's get into the meat of the session now. After you kind of some basic principles of Google Drive. For file management, here are some problems with file sharing that I have run into. Using the normal share options, like with edit privileges for people, it's great for if you're using it with small groups, so you're the limited number of editors. It's good if all of the people who are using it are familiar with this option. They understand what it is to be an editor on a document. And also if you're collaborating on sort of individual documents, like if I have one sheet that I want to share with brainstorming ideas about something with a small group of people. It's really good for that. But if everyone has edit access, or if there's a very big group with edit access, there will be accidental editing and deleting. Also, if someone leaves the program, those files will be deleted. If an edited shared document is owned by someone on the team who leaves the program, they leave, their SQU Gmail is deleted or made inactive, those files are gone. Also, if someone leaves a course, this happens frequently. If someone, for example, if someone leaves 340 and goes to teach in 603 or something, they may forget that those files are important to the 340 people and then delete them or reorganize them or change their sharing settings. This happens pretty frequently. If people are tidying up their Google Drive and like, oh, that was last semester, I'm going to get rid of it. And then the people who were kind of relying on that no longer have access to that document. And you may not notice before it's kind of too late. Google Classroom file sharing is a really good solution for a lot of things. People on my team appreciated at the beginning of this year that I had a master Google Classroom with everything built into it, all the weekly assignments, all the project, I've got rubrics built in, everything. I added the teachers, they each made a copy of it and then they could go use it. This made it really easy for them to get up to speed on Google Drive. That was all set up and ready and they could kind of learn with something in place. But the problem with this is that when you have a main Google Classroom and you make copies of it, it's not making copies of the documents. It's just giving people access to it. So I had my main Google Classroom with, for example, a document on the project that was shared out with 25 teachers. And those teachers then have edit privileges on that same main original document. Teachers were often opening that document up in class and teaching with it, which would seem completely normal in Google Classroom. And I didn't know it worked this way at the beginning, but they would go in and put their information for their class, and, making a sample project assignment, for example. And then every other teacher in the entire program would see all those edits. And then if the teachers share that out with the students, the problem was then multiplied by 525. So it was a big problem in 340 this fall, is too many people having edit access to the same document and forgetting that they had that. For me, it's perfect. If I have my Google Classroom, I can make a copy of it next semester and all my files stay there. It's perfect. I'm still working the original files. Great. But with a whole group of teachers doing it, making that master classroom and copies of it, it really opened up a lot of problems with mistaken editing. So some solution for file sharing. So you need to assess your needs. And there's all the different sort of levels of file sharing have their own advantages. First of all, just allowing your team to view your copies. This is a great way to have official documents that stay as is, and this is good for large groups. No one can mess with them, so it doesn't matter who you share them with, really, as long as it's okay that everyone has permission to view them, I guess, if they're not confidential. But whoever that group is that it's shared with, no one can do anything to it. So, for example, you can use that for pacing guides, for rubrics, for policies. These are great things to use view only with. So, for example, I have on my course Moodle pacing guides embedded that are Google Docs. When I need to change those for the next semester, they copy over the Moodle to the next semester, and I can just go into the document and change it. I don't need to delete it and re-upload a new one or anything. It's just view only, and I don't need to make any access changes to anything. This is really one-way information sharing. You're just pushing things out to people, and it's quite safe, but it's not always exactly what you want for your needs. Allowing your team to edit your copies. Let's see. Murtada's asking about Classroom. Creating quiz assignments on Google Classroom. I do, yeah. If you remind me, I'll send you links in the chat box here at the end. Okay? I've got a bunch of videos on that. Okay, so for editing your copies, allowing your team to edit your copies is really good for collaboration, sharing information in small groups. This is great for schedules, agendas, projects. For example, if you've got an agenda for a meeting, you can have all of your team members come on and add their questions or answer questions for each other. For your course for the semester, and everyone needs to put in their cover hours and all that kind of stuff, so you've got one main document. This is a really good time to use this, this true collaboration on documents. This is the thing that we came up with in 340, though. What we really needed was we needed to allow our team members to make their own copies of things. So I'd have a main master document, and then any teacher they liked could make their own copy. That means that they can personalize and adapt their materials. And it's really good for large groups because anyone can make copies of it that needs it. And then they've got their own copy that they can adjust. So for example, for the project, if they wanted to personalize it and show their students their example, then they can go ahead and do that. So that it doesn't affect your main master copy. This is really good for materials and activities. And it's one-way sharing. It's just pushing information out to people, but it has a ton of flexibility for your teachers. They can use these things to put into their Google Classroom, for example, and then they've got their own personalized copy of it. The first two, the view and the edit, work really well with those folders with preset sharing settings. Like I just showed you, you've got your Google Drive and you make your edit settings or your view settings. Perfect with those two things. This other version works really well with forced copy links. And that might not be something you know about right now, but I'll show you in just a second. Forced copy links are very helpful. So I'm going to show you the 4-step process that we took in 340 to come up with how to really organize our stuff. The first two parts of this solution, I would say, are useful for probably anyone, and I would really recommend that you seriously look at both of those. The second two are really good if you share a lot of materials with your teachers and you want them to be able to personalize their stuff and make those forced copies that everyone can adapt to their own. So the first two is probably good for any of you. The second two is probably good for those of you who do a lot of material sharing in your course. So your first step is you need to make a new Gmail. You can make an outside Gmail, but you can also make an SQU specific Gmail for your course that owns all of your stuff. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Your second step is to make master copies. So for every document that you have in your course, you should have a master perfect copy that lives in your course Gmail. This makes it really easy. Delaire should be listening carefully right now. If you're taking over new as a new CL, the old CL can just give you the password to that course Gmail, and then everything is yours. There's no transferring documents. There's no changing ownership of anything. Everything is just immediately transferred over with giving the new CL the password for it. It's zero work to change CL as far as file sharing and file management goes. For number 3, this is for getting copies out to people. So you need to create forced copy URLs. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. There are a few different methods for it to make it so that teachers can make those copies. And then you need to be able to share those forced copy URLs with teachers in a way that's organized and that they can find things easily. So we'll start with looking at the new Gmail. You can make an outside Gmail, but I've shown you here how to make an SQU specific Gmail. I will go ahead and say up front that I'm not sure that SQU really wants all the courses to have their own Gmails, but they will give them to you. I just found out by trying. You can download a form here. That link will take you to the form. It's on Portal as well. Fill it out. It's a PDF. You need to choose your own SQU Gmail for your course. Mine is just FPEL0340. Get that filled out, and then you'll submit that. It's possible to do all of this with an outside Google account, but it's a little less convenient for a few reasons. 340 has always had an outside Gmail account. When Align handed over 340 to me, he just gave me the password of the outside 340 Gmail, and it had everything there. Everything was already set up for me, which is really great, and I was very thankful for that. But an outside SQU Gmail means that you can't limit any documents to SQU only, because it's not part of the SQU system. You don't have access to the SQU email contacts list. If you're adding people by email, for example, on a shared document, you just are going to have to copy paste over Gmail addresses from your SQU contacts list. And also SQU accounts can't make you the owner of a file folder. So you can't transfer ownership outside the SQU domain. If I own something on my SQU Gmail, I can't change ownership to someone outside of the SQU system. So Get your form, fill it out. Then you can go to the ITSM ticket request. That's where you if you have IT problems, and it's just one of the options there. That link will take you there. You upload your PDF as part of your request, and then you wait for them to create that Gmail for you. They will set up your email account, send you an email saying that it's ready, and then you can just go in and set it up. You'll have an email that's totally empty. You'll have a drive that is beautiful and bare. And you can start your organization from the ground up. I know that everybody's Google Drive is totally full and messy. It's actually really a breath of fresh air to start over with a fresh drive. You can look at it, you can make some folders, set up your organization just how you want to, subfolders for all those, set up all your permissions so that everything is ready to go, and you can start in an organized fashion. I'm going to stop for a second and ask if there's any questions, because we're going to move to the next thing now. Let's see. Becky says, if I change my sharing settings on a folder, does it apply to every doc inside? Yeah, that's a really good question, Becky. That is exactly what I was going to talk about when I said I had something to say, but I didn't remember what it was. If you have a folder and you create new documents inside, it takes the parent folder's permissions. But if you drag folders into there, it keeps the permissions from where they came from if they're set away from the default. It doesn't take the new folder. So you can have a folder with permissions and documents inside with all different permissions. It doesn't do that. It keeps its old ones. So that's if you're rearranging things, moving things into a folder. So that's good to know. If you've got a folder that you think is quite safe for view only and you drag edit documents into it, they will stay edit. You have to go change them manually. Thanks for your question. Thanks for
so the ones that are already in there.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are already
for the ones that are already in there, if they're set up as the default, if they've never been changed before, then they will change. If they are set with anything specific, if you've gone in and changed them, I think view only is the default. If they're set as the default, they'll change. If they're not as the default, then they won't change. Yeah, this is a bunch of trial and error and a ton of research, because we had all kinds of issues happen this semester. Does that answer your question, Becky?
I think so.
Okay, that's why it's really good to start over fresh with brand new copies, because then you can control everything from the beginning. Julia is asking, if you have a co-teacher in classroom, is the classroom folder shared? You have your own classroom folder that's yours, but all the documents inside it are shared. So when you look at your classroom folder in your My Drive, it shows that it's unshared, but if you open it up, all of the things are shared with everyone who's on it. So it's all shared with the students in whatever sharing permissions they have got through Classroom. And it's shared with your co-teacher with editing privileges with everything. Both co-teachers, or as many co-teachers as you have, all have edit privileges on the same document. You don't have different copies. You have just the one document, and everyone's got edit privileges. Does that answer your question, Julia? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so you've got your new Gmail. You're going to make master copies now. This is what Becky was basically, the problem that Becky had just identified is going to be answered by this. When you've got this course Gmail, you want to make master copies. There's 3 ways to do this. You can change ownership. You can take documents that you already have. If you own a document, you can go into the share and you can just change it over. I'll show you in a second how to do that. You can't do that you can do that within the SQU domain, but you can't do from SQU to outside. So you can't make an owner outside of SQU and the owner of an SQU document. Another thing you can do is just download everything and then upload it to where you want to go. You can upload it into your course Gmail, and that will act as new documents. They'll act as brand new, fresh documents. This does not work with Google Forms. It works with basically everything else. Google Forms don't have a download version. So if you download a Google Form, it just ends up as kind of nothing. You can't upload it. You can't use it off Google. It only lives on Google. So there's no Google Forms version of download and then upload. The third way you can do is actually make copies. This is not the right-click make a copy that you're thinking of inside your folder. It's a little more involved way of doing that. I'll show you how to do that. But you have to make sure that these copies are created inside the destination Gmail where you want them to be. If you're in your own and you're just making copies there, then they'll just continue to be owned by you. That doesn't serve any purpose. So let's look at these 3 in a little bit more detail. Changing ownership is really easy. If you're in a document, you can make whoever you want to be the owner. For me, for example, with the 340 course, I can make them an editor, share the document with them, then go back into share, click that editor button again, and at the bottom it's got make owner. Click yes. Now my course is the owner of that document. The advantage to this is it's quick and easy and direct. You can just do it. You could actually ask other people to do it. It's very easy to do. If somebody else makes a bunch of documents for you, you can just say, hey, change the ownership. But the disadvantage is that this has to be done document by document by document. You can't do it with a folder. You can only do it with one document at a time. And you can't go from an SQU address to an outside SQU address. The second way of doing this is pretty flexible except for Google Forms. You can download an entire folder. In fact, I downloaded an entire Google Drive one time just to test out how well this worked. You right-click, click download, download your folder with all the files inside, subfolders, everything. Download it to your computer, wherever it goes in your downloads, your desktop, wherever things end up when you download them. It'll download in a zipped form. You can click it and unzip it. Now it's on your computer. You go into your course Gmail, into whatever folder you want it to end up in, and then you just add it. So you go up to new, and you go up to new, and you do folder upload, choose that folder, that unzipped folder, and upload it. It takes a few minutes if it's a big folder, if it's got a lot of files, but it'll just all upload and it will act as new copies. Google Drive does not know that these came from another Google Drive and are going to a new Google Drive. It just assumes that these are new copies. One thing that you'll want to do when you're doing this is in your destination drive, so in your course drive, you want to go into your settings and tick the box, the little settings wheel at the top, tick the box that says convert uploads automatically to Google Docs editor format. That will mean that you download things, they go to your computer, they'll end up in PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. And then if you tick this, when you upload them, it'll convert them back to the Google Drive version. So they'll end up how they started, behind the scenes magically. This whole system is very easy and useful. You can do whole big folders at a time. You don't have to do one document at a time, but it doesn't work with Google Forms. Again, if you're having problems with the Google profiles, at the bottom there's a little link that will take you to a video that will show you the profiles in more detail. The third way to make master copies is just straight up making a copy of something, but not like right-click, make a copy. This is quite different. Google's URLs, the addresses at the top for their documents, have a really cool trick where you can have different sort of suffixes on the ends of them that will make that document behave in a certain way. I'm going to show you the copy code right now. So at the end of a URL for a Google Doc, https://docs.google.com, blah, 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 blah. At the end, there's a slash, and it says edit, and then question mark, USP, sharing, something, something, something. Everything after the slash, delete off and replace it with the word copy, and it will create a copy link for you. I heard a hand go up. Ranush says, I don't know if guys are hands up, and Julie has asked a question. So too. I'll answer Julie's question because I can see it really quick. Can you do that with a Google site? Change ownership? Yes. Download and upload? No.
Download, upload, that was my question.
Download, upload doesn't work. But you can just change ownership of it.
You can change ownership, but is it categorically impossible to change ownership from a personal Gmail into an SQU?
Personal Gmail to SQU you can do. SQU to outside, no. They have our domain set up. This is a choice that they make behind the scenes here at SQU. Every domain has a lot of settings they can set. How they have it set at SQU right now is that you can't share stuff out. And that's for confidentiality reasons, keeping SQU stuff in SQU. So you cannot change ownership from SQU out, but you can change out to in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
But not, you can't download and upload a Google site. That's no.
You can't. There's no version that it would live on your computer in, no file.
Is there any way I can make a copy and do that? If I've got a Google site created in my personal Gmail and I want my ownership to be my SQU, what can I do?
If you want your personal one to be an SQU, you can just change ownership. You can also make copies of Google sites, as many as you like. So they can they can be templates. But you can make a personal one an SQU one. You just can't make an SQU one a personal one.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thanks, got it.
Pranish, you've got a question? Pranish has got her hand up. Nope, she put it down. Okay.
Sorry, no.
Yeah,
It was just so automatic.
Okay, then no problem. Okay, so this copy code looks like what's down below. This GIF is showing you how to do it. But if you look at the bottom of the screen right now, you can see what that copy code looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that copy code right now in the chat box so you can all click it and see what happens. What it will do is open up this big white window that says make a copy. You can click that blue button. It will open up for you a brand new fresh copy of my document. that's yours. I don't have access to it, only you do, because you've made this copy in your account. So I'm going to get this copy code right now. Copy link address. I'm going to stick it in the chat box right now so you all can see this. When you open it, go open it, see what's there, take a look, come back, raise your hand so I can see when you're done checking out that it's working. There you go. Click, go out, check it out, come back here, raise your hand so I know everyone's back and ready to go. Murtada's back.
This is really cool. Can you show that again? Sorry.
Yeah, you want to see the process again?
Yeah, like, where you said that URL and then at the end there is this question mark, whatever. So what did you do?
Yeah. So if you look on the screen right now, on the top right, I've got enlarged what the end of a URL for a Google Doc looks like.
Okay.
So slash is kind of highlighted, edit, question mark, USP equals sharing. So if you delete that off and just replace it with a word copy, any Google Doc, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, Google Slides.
Okay,
It works with Google stuff. It doesn't work with PDFs. It doesn't work with Microsoft Word, but with Google stuff, this works. So any of those Google type files, you can do this. And this copy code, you can then send out to whoever you want. And then it's this safe copy. They've got it. They've got their own copy of it. They don't have access to yours. Where I've seen
it's fantastic. I need this for the project. Thanks a lot.
It's basically a way of setting up, like in Classroom, where you set up copies for students. This is like people making their own copies. I've seen this used a lot in Facebook groups where people are Google educators. They want to share like materials with each other, but they're sharing with like 60,000 people around the world. If you put up this copy code, then no one has access to your document, but everyone has access to their own copy of your document. Yeah.
Very good.
So
thanks
what I'm using this for here right now in this presentation is making copies into my own course Gmail. So I've got that copy link. I can paste that into the URL of my destination Gmail. So my course one, if you can see up here, the 341. And when I paste that there and click there, it will open there in that Gmail. So I'm getting the code from my personal one and I'm pasting it into my course one, and it's making this course copy. On the next slide, it shows you kind of a side-by-side with my two windows open here. On the left, I've got my personal Gmail, and on the right, you can see I've opened up my my course Gmail. You can see by the avatars there that those are two different accounts. And I'm just going to go get those copy links. In this case, it's for Google Forms. Getting the link, pasting it over into the other window, my course window. So it will open up in my course email. Just changing the suffix there after the slash with copy, and then it'll open up in my new course one. If you're really tricky and you're doing a whole bunch of these all together at one time from a big folder inside your personal, you can paste all of these into a spreadsheet, and you can Control F, replace all, and do that slash edit, blah, 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 and replace all of those with copy, and then it'll replace copy for you on your entire spreadsheet worth of them. So it's a huge time saver. Everybody doing okay? Julia says, does this mean I'm an owner of this version now? It does. Whoever makes the copy is the owner. This has no connection with the original document, so no one can get into your document if you're giving out this copy code. And this means that the person who made the copy, the new owner, has all of the control of this document. So this person can choose how they want to share it.
Jen, sorry, one question. So do you have the steps? Yeah, so I got a point. Now I understand how I can make this force copy, but it would be great if you could share the steps, like, because I'm not sure I will remember all of this.
Yeah. So, of course, the GIF on the screen shows you on the right-hand side here where it says, here's a view of both Chrome windows open at once, blah, 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 blah. But if you, in this presentation, I'll give this presentation out at the end of today. If you open the presenter notes, it gives more detail how to do it. It actually tells you that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have made our new course Gmail. We have made master copies and making the master copies was the thing that we just did. Now we're going to go create force copy URLs. These are the codes we're going to give out to teachers so that they can make their own copies of these things. There are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show you a way that if you're just doing a few is okay. And I'm going to show you in a Google extension that will do it fast and easy for a lot. So one way is that that suffix that I just showed you. Instead of using the word copy, you're going to use template/preview. Those will give you previews that people can use, click, and make their own copy of. This is good if you're just using small quantities or using it infrequently, 1 or 2 times. But the easy way to do it if you use it a lot is by using a Google extension called srlinks-a-lot. That just does it with a touch of a button, so you can do a whole list of them quite quickly. When Judy Wren was doing her project for me this spring of organizing all this stuff and setting this stuff up, she was just spending like hours generating all of these links so that teachers could have access to all these documents. So I'll show you those two ways right now. Here is by appending the template/preview, just like with the copy link. You get the link, you replace everything after with edit, $USP equals sharing. Replace that with template preview, and that will make what I'll show you right now. Copy link address. I'm going to put this in the chat box again. Everybody was quick and got back and raised their hand and showed me that they were done. So I'm putting another link down there so you can see this template preview way of doing this rather than the copy way of doing this. I think you'll see really quickly what the advantage is to this. So this is a little bit different, not copy, it's template preview. You can go click, open it up, see what the advantage is, come back and show me your back. Murtada, are you done, or did you have a question that I unraised your hand for? No.
Sorry, I missed it.
That's okay. That's fine. Julia's done. Julia, did you see the advantage of this template preview? Hands back. Okay. A couple people are done.
It opens in the preview screen, yeah, as opposed to the document. It's nice.
Yeah. So, of course, when teachers are doing this, particularly for materials and activities, if you've got a bunch of links and they're opening it up and it's just a big white screen that says copy this document, once you hit copy, it's in your My Drive, it's polluting it up. Maybe it's something you wanted, maybe it's something you didn't want. With this preview template, when you open it, you can see if you want it. Then you can hit use template and it's yours if you like it. And if you don't, you just close it out and you don't have that copy, increasing your pile of copies inside your My Drive. Okay, good. I really like this trick. This is such a huge lifesaver. So
Jen,
yeah.
Sorry, I have a quick question. Does that mean use template is sort of the equivalent of add to My Drive?
Yeah. You're just making your own. It's basically make a copy. I'm not sure why they call it template, but it's exactly the same as make a copy.
And would it then appear in shared with me, or does it go directly into My Drive?
No, it's yours. It goes directly into your My Drive, and it just acts like it's a brand new document that belongs to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jen, short question. So, like, how would you use this? I mean, like, is this like, a lesson you want to teach, or it's an exercise activity you want to?
In 340, I have everybody's made tons of stuff. So we've got tons of Google Forms, we've got tons of slideshows, we've got all kinds of lessons that people have put together in these Google formats. So what I was doing before is just having asking teachers to like make their own copy or send stuff out or whatever. But with this, I've got these links. Teachers can look and see like, okay, it's week 3 and we're doing reading about this unit. There's 4 different activities. I can see if I want one and then just go click on those and see which one they want to use. So it's basically a way of sharing out these activities. I'll show you on the 340 Teachers website what this looks like.
Oh,
I've just got this giant body of all of the stuff that everybody's been making for 340 for the last year in this shareable form where you can go pick the things that you want, make your own copy, and it's yours to use with your own class and personalize.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was if you're typing template preview on the end. This is the fast and easy way to do it. It's using srlinks-a-lot. Add this to your Chrome Once it's added, make sure that you pin it to the toolbar because you're just going to use it by clicking it. So you want it to be there so you don't have to go find it inside that puzzle piece. So it's just this little guy with a hat and a mustache. Open whatever you want to make this copy of. Click this little icon, click template, click copy to clipboard, and you've got it. It's on your clipboard and you can paste it wherever you want to put it. For me in 340, I keep all this stuff in a great big huge spreadsheet, actually many spreadsheets. We've got tons and tons of these links. I paste these template preview links there, and then they're all saved there in an organized fashion. Anyone who clicks that link is just going to make their own copy for themselves, and then they can use it how it is, put it in their Google Classroom, whatever, or they can share it out with their students. They can edit it, they can personalize it, they can do whatever they want to with it because it belongs to them now. Everybody doing okay?
Yep, stunning.
Okay. I'll show you in a second kind of what this looks like in the sharing version.
This is great.
Okay, so we've got these force copy URLs, this template preview, and then now you want to be able to share all these URLs with your teachers. This is where the organization kind of comes in. So the best solution that we've come up with is spreadsheets. Spreadsheets, I know a lot of people don't like them. They look scary or whatever. You don't need to use any formulas with these. You don't have to add anything. It's just really like a library of links. It's just an organized way. You can keep different tabs. It's a good place to store all this stuff. Links can't live in a Google Drive. You can't have a Google Drive full of all of the, a folder full of all these links because you can't just put a link in a folder. So you need something for those links to live in. So inside a spreadsheet, you can have different tabs that essentially are acting as your own folders. And you've got all the links there all in one place so that your teachers can access them pretty quickly. I'll show you those in just a second. Personally, I have a Google site set up to show these. So the teachers have access to all of these built in as little buttons where they click and they make copies automatically. You can also embed these in your Moodle. I'm going to show you how to do that using some really simple HTML coding. Of course, you can paste all the links into your Moodle, but then that's quite messy, and then teachers don't really know what they're looking at. You'd have to set up a lot of organization inside your Moodle to make that work, but you can just embed the spreadsheet, and then it's a little bit more organized. I'll show you how that works as well. So here's the spreadsheet that I use for 340. I think you just saw it a moment ago. Across the bottom, we've got week by week. We've got 15 weeks long. Every week tab has got coded by skill on the side. It's got the file names. We've got a naming convention so that everybody keeps the same sort of style of naming, so it's really well organized. And then it's got this share template link pasted in there that I can use, or I can give out to teachers, whatever I'm doing with it. So I've got them all together here in this big old spreadsheet. So spreadsheet, highly recommend. It's a great way to keep them. If you've got more than 20 links, you probably want to keep a spreadsheet to keep things organized. This is what the 340 Teachers website looks like. So I've got it broken up by skill. Here we're looking at the reading page. On the reading page, all of those blue lines that look kind of like buttons are buttons. They've got these template preview programmed into them so that when you click one of those blue buttons, it just opens up a use template copy. So you see the name of something on the website and you think that's good. You click it as a teacher, it opens up and you can see this template form that either you like it or you don't. If you don't like it, you exit out and you can go look for something else. But if you like it, then you just make your own template copy and then you own this. It's not a shared copy between teachers. It's just a centralized master copy that anyone can make a copy of who wants. Julia?
You answered my question as I was formulating it. Thank you.
Okay.
So from the Google site, then that link functions just like it did when you pasted it there in the chat box.
It did. I will actually, I'm going to share with you, in case you are in any way interested, in the 340 Teachers website. Becky's asking if it works with forms. Yes, it does. We use it with a ton of forms. I'm sharing this in my actual 340 Teachers website now in the chat box. If you want to go look there, don't go look at it now because there's a lot of stuff there, but you can go see kind of how those buttons work at a later time. And there we've got videos in there. We've got all kinds of things. With forms, Becky, you need to make sure that the form is set to edit. Anyone with a link can edit. They can't get in and edit it, but it needs to be set up with that setting to be able to make copies. For all the other document types, docs, sheets, slides, it just needs to be set that anyone with a link can view, and then they can make a copy. But with forms, for some reason, there's not a view format. If you've got someone added to it, it needs to be added with edit. Everyone doing all right? If any of you are interested in how to make a Google site, I've got a little link at the bottom of the page here that says, want to learn how to make a Google site, with a how-to button. It'll take you to a page on the EdTech help website that will show you everything you need to know to make a Google site. They're actually very easy to set up, and they're a pretty good way of sharing stuff. It's a little more visual than just sharing a spreadsheet with people. It's a lot more personalizable than a Moodle page as well. I don't know who I'm talking to. Maybe all of you are in love with Moodle, but I'm not. So I have a website that I set up for that kind of stuff. So Moodle, if you want to put this in your Moodle, you do love Moodle, or you just want to make sure everything's available in one place. I have this available in my Moodle as well. Inside your spreadsheet, you go to edit and you go down and select publish to the web. You're going to publish it to the web and get this link that's an embed code. It's actually HTML, but it's very easy to use. You don't have to worry about not knowing anything about HTML to use this. You just copy that code. It comes in a little thing called an iframe. It's got little pointy carrots on either side of it. It says iframe, blah, blah, blah. It's just telling Moodle how to set this up within the page. So you copy that code, publish web, copy the code. Inside Moodle, you go to the page where you want it. You need to make sure and click the little caret thing inside your edit ribbon. That's the HTML editor. Paste that in. You can adjust the width so it goes the right width for any device on phone or tablet or computer by typing in width equals 100%, height equals 500 or 600 or 300, whatever. Paste that in right after the iframe, and that will adjust its width correctly. And then save that, and then it's embedded inside your Moodle page. So you've done some little bit of HTMLing without really knowing how to do any HTML. And then inside your Moodle, you've got this spreadsheet in there. Teachers don't need to be looking at a bunch of links on a very long Moodle page. They can just click through that spreadsheet, look at the different tabs. It's scrollable, and it's easier to keep organized than a really, really big, long Moodle page. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Are you awake, or are you overblown?
No. We're following.
Okay.
I think this is
Right now,
I think this is the second presentation now.
Go ahead.
Embedding spreadsheets in my Google site. That's phase 2, I think, of my morning.
Yeah. Okay. You can embed anything in your Moodle, anything that you can get an embed code for. So any of your Google stuff that you've got, you can just paste it in there instead of having links, which is sometimes useful for certain things. So that's my four phase project. Make your new Google Drive. You've got that new Gmail that is a course Gmail. It's very easily transferable to the next CL. You don't have to transfer any files to do that. You've got these master copies in your course Gmail so that they're all saved in one place. They're clean new copies that you can get out to people. You can create all these forced copy URLs for teachers, and then you can share those URLs in a few different ways. Before we go, I have a little bonus tip for you. If any of you really hate how Google Drive looks, I know that there's some things that I hate about how it works. You have to do all the right click and move things. It's a bit clunky for moving stuff. If you want to be able to use it on your computer in a way that looks familiar to you, you can download Drive for desktop. Then it works just as its own drive, essentially, on your computer. So there's a little link there to get to that, to download it. And then there's a Mac how-to and a PC how-to there. It's a little bit different in both those systems, of course. But then once you've got that working on your computer, you can use them offline. You can select which files you want to be able to use offline. So then you can use your Google Drive on your computer just like it's another folder on your computer, basically. You don't have to use it within Google Drive's normal format that you see it in. And that's it for me. How are you doing? Sandra says overwhelmed. Yeah, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information. In the presentation, I'm going to give you out the presentation share link right now, so that you can take a look at this at your leisure later, basically. And then you can watch those GIFs more slowly in a quiet environment without me yapping at you. You can read the directions that are in the speaker notes. The presenter notes have got a lot more detail. And basically take a look there, see if there's anything that you think would be a good take home for you as a course leader or as a, working in some kind of team. If you have got questions about this, I'm so happy to answer them because this is something I've thought a ton about. Julia is asking, how much space does the Drive for Desktop take up? You can select what you want to go on your Drive for Desktop. So you can sync certain folders and not others. So for example, if I want to have all of my Spring 21 syncing right now, but I don't want it syncing on my computer next fall, I can just take it off next fall. There's just a little button where you turn stuff on. Becky says, can you transfer ownership of the Google Site later? Yeah, you can transfer ownership of the Google Site just like you can transfer ownership of documents. Do you guys have more questions right now? It's running out of time. I want to let people go if they need to. But at the same time, I'm happy to stay for a few minutes and answer questions. If you have questions after this later, please send them to me. I'm happy to answer. What's that? Moeen says, yeah.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I'll take time to learn some of the tips that you shared. I was just wondering, because our course is entirely on Moodle. So I just wanted to know, are you going to have, like I always thought for teachers, it's better to have one platform rather than two platforms.
I'll say
so
I really don't like Moodle, and Moodle is not very personalizable. It doesn't work very well for my needs. So I've got my website linked. Thanks, Moodle. I've got my website linked to my Moodle. So from my Moodle, you can get to my site very easily, but it's easier to navigate. I can change things around more easily and more quickly. I've got a lot of Google stuff that works and integrates really well there. So I think every course deals with Moodle a little bit differently. You can get to all my stuff from Moodle, but I've got quite a lot of stuff that is just linking out to a website for. We all have different Moodle philosophies, I think. Different courses run them quite differently. I keep a lot of stuff off my Moodle.
Okay, thank you. So this means, yeah, you have Moodle, just, yeah,
I have Moodle.
Yeah,
my Moodle has got all of this stuff. My Moodle has got all of this stuff. Oops, sorry. I can hear myself twice. Thanks. Pranush, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Jen, so you mentioned that you have your Google site. I also have one, but this is for teachers. Is yours for teachers use only, or it's for everybody?
The one that I sent out to you is a teacher's one. I also have a student one because I wasn't sure we were going to be using Google Classroom this year when I set it up. So I've got a teacher one and a student one both.
So this is in the weekly mode, yeah?
What's that?
So like you're doing it like kind of your weekly format, or no?
Yeah. I have it all set up weekly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And
all the skills are there. All the skills are like, the skills that they need to target, like, that week. Okay, thank you.
Yep, they're all there. Murtada's asking, how do you make those nice picture-in-picture videos? I make a lot of videos. You can do it in QuickTime on your computer. A lot of people use Screencastify. It's a free extension you can put on your Google Chrome. Screencastify is free up to 5 minutes. There's another one called Loom that's free. That's an extension you can use. That's 5 minutes as well, I think. I personally have some like big software that I use on my computer that's expensive.
Right. I've tried Screencastify, but there's the limit, as you said, which is 5 minutes, and I saw that you have got like 8 and 10 minutes. So
you can do it. I'll email you some tips on that. There's some other things you can use. If you get back to me on your first question, I don't remember what it was earlier. You had some other question that I said ask me later, and this one I can mail you some tips.
It's about quiz assignments in Google Classroom.
Yes, yes, yeah. I'll mail you some answers about that. Jopa says, I'll ask questions when you start with Google Drive organizing. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm happy to take questions at any point. I actually quite enjoy answering questions about this. It makes me think hard. Becky says Nimbus is unlimited and free. Yeah, Nimbus is one of the ones I've heard of too. Yeah, so Murtada, Nimbus is something you can use. You can actually record inside Google Meet. I know a lot of teachers who do it that way. So you've got your presentation and you've got your picture. You're just in a Meet all by yourself, and you can just hit record and it just records you. That's pretty low tech, but it works. Any more questions? I think everybody's done. Everybody's brains are full at this point, right?
Just want to say huge thanks to you. Yeah, I thought that I'm done with my course. So all I need to do is just polishing a couple of things. But now you gave me lots of ideas, and I say, do I want to summer project on this or what?
Sorry, Pranush. Thanks, everybody. I'm
Thanks
sorry
so
to
much.
fill
Yeah,
your
that
brains
was
with so much
really,
stuff
really
right
great.
now.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thank you. If you've got questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you for your time, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
everybody.
again. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Bye. Bye. Enjoy your summer.